This is Mike with D-Beat Daily. On this fifth episode, I have one part of the band Crutches here with me. They have at least 9 records that I'm aware of. How are you doing today?
9 records already. Yeah, that's nice. I'm good, doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
And if you could just tell everyone your name and what you do in the band.
My name is Oskar, and I'm the singer of the band. And
Okay.
This is me. Yeah.
Alrighty. And do you guys have 9 records, or is it more or less? I don't know.
No, it's not. It's less. So we have the 4 12 inches, or so to say, full-length releases so far, and 1 split LP, 1 7-inch, and a demo that came out as a 7-inch as well.
Okay, cool. And so how long has Crutches been together for, and how did the band form?
We've been around since 2010, and we started out from the ashes of mine and Tom, the bass player of previous band Project Hopeless. So we started Crutches as a continuation of what we did before. So it developed in a way that we thought would be the most necessary for us at this point. So
okay.
This is where it started from.
Right. Okay. And have you all had like the same members throughout being a band, or have you changed the lineup since inception?
I mean, we've been kind of consistent, actually. I mean, in the beginning, it was me, Tom, and Jallas who started the band. Tom on bass, me on guitar and singing, and Jallas drumming. But the constellation didn't really get going, so we had to like reform a bit, or not try to just do what we did in the beginning. So I choose to sing only, and we recruited Andreas to play the guitar, and we did this like for a couple of years, and then after a while, Jallas wanted to go traveling, so he decided that he wanted to quit the band, or he didn't really want to quit the band, but he realized it would be easier for him not to take part of the band, as he couldn't really stay in Malmö. And then we asked Daniel to help us out for the summer and a few festival gigs and an upcoming tour to just be helping us out for a while. But then as he so many times before, as he said, they got fit for work without even, by default being in the band. But that wasn't really, that was kind of a joke for us. But so okay. He stayed with us since then, actually. So this has been the 4 of us since then. We've been having another friend playing the guitar for a while, but it didn't really work out. So now it's been the 4 of us ever since that time.
Oh, okay. And I was reading on like the bottom of your Bandcamp page on some of the releases. I know that Matthias from Ursa has done some things as far as like mixing and mastering, or maybe both. I'm not sure. What is the recording process like for you all?
Yeah, I mean, we have ever since we began started to record our stuff on our own. So we've been using our rehearsal space to building up a studio there, and then leaving off the raw material to Matthias to actually be able to mix and master and figure out things that we couldn't really handle ourselves. But it's been a really good process of learning, and I mean, it's been so it felt really, how to put it, natural for me to ask Matthias, because we do a band together as well. So it was easy for me to ask him, like, okay, so can you help us out with this? And and knowing and learning from him by playing. we've been doing also together as well. So that's the connection in between of me and him. So it was like so easy for me to ask him, and knowing that he knew what I wanted sound wise and everything. So yeah, that's actually how it's been. And yeah, it's changed a lot, but it's been really, really interesting and fun progress. And at this point, Andreas is the one in the band that's the most interested in the development of the recordings, and I think it's really cool to see him being in charge of that. So yeah,
right, okay. And is Ursid, are they still active, or are you guys kind of putting that on the side for now?
We haven't had any possibility to do anything in a long time now. It's life, I guess, has been the way in, or like we've been occupied with different things. We live close enough to actually be able to do stuff, but we haven't been able to in a long time. I hope so one day, maybe.
Yeah, totally. Now, has Crutches played outside of Sweden? And if so, like, where all have you played at?
Oh yeah, we've been out. We've been touring a lot. I'd say, especially before the pandemic, I think we counted up to 200 gigs at that point, touring wise, and mainly abroad actually. So a lot in Europe, and most of countries in Europe I think we've been to, though as many of you guys touring know that we don't really see much of the places we go to, but it's still really cool to know we have. We've been to Southeast Asia 3 times at this point, and that's been a really cool experience. We've been to Japan 2 times, and to the US 2 times as well. And yeah, so I'm really happy to say that we've done a lot of traveling, but now it seems a bit different, of course. So,
yeah, that's kind of like in the last one we were kind of speaking about, like how it's kind of weird going back to playing shows after, a couple of years of everybody being basically isolated. Does that kind of hinder some of the traveling, do you think, as far as like the COVID stuff kind of settling down, or?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, there's many things that actually made us feel differently, I guess, about traveling. And I think everybody got like more used to, I don't know. I mean, for having lives that's not really easy to move away from. I'm the one in the band that had kids, for example. So it makes it a bit different for me. Oh yeah, Daniel has a kid as well, of course, but it's like his girlfriend's daughter, and they have a family, so that makes it also hard for him to travel. But I mean, I have 3 kids, so it becomes a bit different for me when it comes to traveling and going as I did before, and especially since they came during pandemic time, so it's like becomes a big difference now to try to go away and do gigs again. But as you say, it's been like definitely changing the mindsets of how and when we should go. And yeah, I mean, we still had, this is like this coming weekend we're going to Poland to play, and this is like one of shows that we were booked for pre-pandemic time, and now we're finally being able to do it. It feels really strange, but that's what's happening. And we usually never said no to doing shows, so it feels strange, but it feels really cool to be able to play again.
Right, definitely. And whenever the band kind of first started, what was kind of the goal of the band whenever you all started? And what are you kind of looking to accomplish now with Crutches?
So to begin with, I think ever since we did the band before, me and Tom, we wanted to keep on doing gigs and going on tours. And that's kind of the way we wanted to do with Crutches as well. And we felt that we needed a new energy with the band, just to start something new instead of like trying to get the old thing moving on. And the year passed, and we've done our shares. That's been really cool, and I'm really happy about all the amounts of shows we've done. What we want to do, I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say. I mean, I still want to do it in a different way, of course, but it's like really hard to find a new like set for goals that we want to do. I mean, we've been super lucky to be able to do whatever we have done so far. So it feels like some of the things that we really wanted to do, we've done it in a way. And I think it's just like trying to find new perspectives and new motivations to actually be able to go and do more shows and stuff like that. So that, I think that's what we kind of not in a bit restless and really up for going and seeing new places and playing shows, which we enjoy a lot.
Right. And was the show in Poland, was that something that was like booked and then you had to cancel because of the pandemic, or was it something that was booked that far ahead out that you could still kind of do?
It was kind of like in the calculations that we should have done it. Yeah, and around 2019, I think we were supposed to. No, I mix up the years, I guess. But anyways, okay. I think it was 2020 must have been, because that was like the outburst of the pandemic. So yeah, it must have been that. So then we were booked, and then we just realized that we can't really do it. And then it was postponed for another year. And I even think they wanted us to come and play last year, but then we weren't really ready, and there was some other like personal stuff that came in the way. But yeah, so this is kind of like booked before pandemic time, and then it's super strange, but it's also really nice that we are being able to go again.
Yeah, definitely. What other bands have the members of Crutches played in the past? I know you were saying you did Ursa, and then a lot of the band members were in another band before that. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, me and Tom, we've been doing a band before called Project Hopeless, and we did that for almost 10 years. Andreas, during times of being in Crutches, started a band called Genome, and they are active and planning of doing new things as well at the moment. And Daniel, who lives like a kind of far away from Malmö at the point, so he lives outside Stockholm. He has a new band in Stockholm with some friends called Änglamök. They about to record stuff, but had nothing happened yet. So we'll see and cross a finger for, and hopefully it's going to be done soon. Yeah. Tom hasn't any other bands at this point. And I also sing in a band called Void Filler. That's like a Malmö-based band with members living in Germany and parts of Visions of War as well. So yeah, that's about the band things, I'd say.
Okay. And what are some things that you hope people kind of take away from your guys' music?
Take away, sorry, what do you
so just like, what do you think kind of like, I guess, the overall messages of the band that you want people to kind of I'm trying to think of an easier way to to word it there. Just like something, I guess, your general message of the band that you, I guess, would like for people to be aware of.
Oh, I mean, we're really into like keeping a high stronghold of being an anti-fascist D-beat punk band to inspire people to like, being political in a way that's like, I don't know. I mean, in a way that actually the natural feelings of taking care of yourselves and the environment and the people around you and supporting each other. I think that's the message we want to keep and spreading, and I'm trying to have as a positive and possibly positive way of thinking and doing good things around you, because of like how hard it actually is to survive the things that we do. We just keep we want to keep people to remind them in a way of actually not forgetting themselves and others around them. So I think that's a message that we want to try to spread at least, and have at least as fun as possible at the same time of being serious about things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, as far as like along the time of being in this band and even other bands, what are some bands that have influenced you throughout your time of playing music?
I mean, there's been a lot. The fun thing with Crutches, I'd say, is that we are so diverse in the taste of music we have. So I think that's actually been something that's creating the thing that we do, because sometimes it feels like we're not that typical in the way that we're sounding, but I guess other times we are. I don't know, but this is a question for anyone, I guess, to answer for. But we have the diversity of the music to has a good thing in the band. But overall, we have one certain band and record that's uncurbed and keeps the banner high. That's all high for all of us, and that's a very big inspiration. And then from that, I mean, we have many different bands that we actually could say that we have a big influence from. I'd say that Oi Polloi has been a great influence to me, as well as Ausrotten, Wolfpack, State of Fear, Uncurbed, as I said, and that's the punk music. So I mean, there's a lot more than I definitely could mention, but these are a few that I usually tend to go back to, actually. So I think that's really nice.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I would certainly say you guys have definitely a signature sound as far as like the, recordings go and stuff like that. They're all pretty consistent as far as like the style and everything goes. So you said you kind of think that comes from everybody having some different influences mainly.
Yeah, I think that's really cool to hear. Oh, makes me happy. Then we accomplished something at least. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And if you could share one random thing about Sweden that people in other countries don't know about, what would that be?
There's the polar bears, I think. So no, joking. There's no polar bears. Random thing about Sweden. Yeah, it's in generally, it's like, yeah, a bit average. It feels like it's like the country that happens most. We have the most bands, and sometimes like, oh, that it must be shows every time, every now and then, but that's not really the case. We have a lot of really, really good musicians over here, and that's doing super cool recordings and bands, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But I don't really know other thing to add to that, really, actually.
Okay. And like, what is your kind of opinion about American D-beat and crust bands, and are there any bands in particular that kind of stick out to you?
I mean, yeah, I think, I mean, in general, that's really hard to say, but I mean, it's like I must have missed a lot of bands, so I'm really eager to hear even more. But the thing is that, as I mentioned, like for example, for State of Fear has been a very big influence. There's been a lot of new bands as well that's been like really, really inspiring for me to hear, as like for War Plague and yeah, the new Night Feeder. I think that's really good, and it becomes a bit personal for like, yeah, having some personal connection to the people as well. So that's really nice, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's like many I am aware I'm missing out, saying mentioning now. So.
Okay, and if as far as like, how did the name Crutches come about?
Yeah, well, me and a friend that I used to live in a collective house with, he helped me out trying to find like a name that would suit the new band. And we were actually going through a lot of records that we liked. and I came across the Pack SOL split LP, the German, and the Pack were from Biel, Switzerland. Yeah, so I got like really stuck for one of the songs titled Crutches, and I actually even borrowed the logo from the set in the back. So we used that for a while and mentioned to the band more than once as well. Yeah. So that's where they came from, actually.
Oh, okay. And as far as like writing music with you all, is it kind of a collaborative effort, or does one person usually kind of take the lead as far as the writing goes?
Music wise, it's been kind of different, actually, because it's like in the beginning, I made most of the songs. And a lot of the riffs for the beginning. Now it's more like Andreas and Daniel taking care of making the new music. I've been having like a inspirational block for a while, so it's been really hard for me to try to find some stuff going. But we've been really good at actually listening to each other, and then also knowing each other that good. So we actually been able to tell each other like, okay, I don't really like this. We should do this in this way. But it's not very often it comes to the point that we actually say that, no, I don't really like it. It's more like we can have a really honest and open discussion about something that we can actually evolve. So when someone has a riff and making whatever idea from it, we've been able to actually get the development of the songs through actually discussing them in the rehearsal space, which is the easiest way for us to hear how we actually want them to sound. And now, since we're not living in the same city anymore, Andreas and Daniel are sending songs to each other through like sound recordings, like, yeah, this is my new idea, and then Daniel could like record something with the drums up in Jana and send back to Andreas, so they can actually work it through like that. And then when rehearsing, it becomes a lot easier to hear how it actually sounds.
Yeah, definitely. And for a while now, I've had some discussions with a lot of bands from here in the US, and I guess we're always kind of trying to figure out how the recordings in Sweden end up coming out like in this almost like perfect way for the style of music. From my understanding, I guess most of the people who mix and master this type of music in Sweden tend to specifically deal with a lot of times like the crust and the D-beat, hardcore kind of realms of music. I mean, as far as like with the recording process out there, do you think it's a lot of the reason it sounds a little bit better in some aspects is because of the experience of the person who's kind of doing the recording and the mixing?
I think I could be, but I'd say that it's a lot to do with the one that takes care of the final pieces. You know, I mean, I would have a really hard time to say that it's because of this or that, but as we've been having a really good connection with my friends, Matthias, to help us out, then it's also really important to get the basics like in very good shape, so it's possible to actually do something with it when the person is about to mix and master all the files. Since everything evolved with the digital recording material and everything that you can handle through that, it becomes a lot easier. So to be able to have someone to help you out in a different way. And I think that there's a lot of people that actually knows how to deal with that way better these days than it was in the back. Yeah, back in the days of the origination of the sound and things that we are doing these days. I mean, for people that always comes back to how the fuck did Shitlickers sound like they did? Was it that they turned up everything on maximum and just had like the best luck ever? I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there, and people can probably say whatever it was, but I mean, that wasn't the style that anyone actually understood at that point, I guess. So, I mean, they must have found someone that understood how to twist that sound into what it actually became. But today, I think there's so many people that are so good at doing what they do, so they can share that and get inspired as much as doing music, but also finding the ways to create the final results in a totally different way. So I think it's a lot to do with that, actually. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. There's just, I guess, kind of just more availability to speak to people you might have not otherwise been able to speak to before there was all this technology and the ability to like meet somebody online, I guess, and have them mix your stuff versus back in the day where we had to have whoever was the local person doing it. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, for having the local person that probably wasn't that into what we are doing, then it couldn't really work out. I mean, I remember when starting to play in bands, and we like tried to record with that constellation we had, getting someone that's totally into something that's not punk at all. They didn't really understand how to either mix it or how to record it or what they wanted ever to be put forward or back or whatever. So they took out what they thought would be the best from their genre, and that didn't really suit that thing very well. So I think it's a lot to do with that when someone can actually understand the music, or trying to understand what someone actually wants. I mean, how they want it to sound. I mean, if you don't really know that, if you have like you do your thing, but you're not really sure how you want to put it, then it needs to be someone that actually can help you out. Like, I think this is actually the sound that should give you the most, like, feeling of how you might like it the best. But yeah, that's hard to find that person, and hard to be that person as well, I guess. So
yeah,
to be so diverse in how you can actually see music.
Right. Yeah, that makes complete sense. What's the best advice that you've ever been given as a musician?
Ooh, that's interesting. I think that, I mean, advices. Yeah, some older people usually always want to tell you what to do and not to do, but I think that the best advices I've gotten is to actually listen to what you want to do. I mean, try by learning by default. I mean, by doing it wrong and then trying again and learning from the mistakes that you do, and try to listen even more for it. I mean, I think sometimes I choose to play punk just because it wasn't anyone to really telling me what to do. And it was the easiest way to get by doing whatever I wanted and saying, yeah, but I did this. If it's not enough, then it's not. But I think it's also affecting what we are thinking these days. I mean, I'm kind of picky of what I want to do. So I want it to be as good as I can do it and what I have from my expectations. Then after that, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I'm glad to see others being inspired from the things that I can do, but it's really hard to find any other things to say, I guess. I'm losing the thread a bit, so sorry.
Oh, no, you're okay. Do you think your expectations as far as like I guess overall quality, and I don't mean quality by like making like some super polished music or anything like that, but overall, do you think that your expectations as far as like the quality and I guess the quality of music overall that you're playing is different now than what it was whenever you were younger?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it definitely must have changed from actually listening to whatever I'd done, but also others and getting the ideas from where I got them. But I think it's definitely changed. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do what I've done if it hasn't been for the things that I have done, because I think that previously I wasn't skilled enough to do the things that sounds better today. Still far away from as good as I wish I would be to play music, but it has definitely changed. And I think that it's a good thing to also feel that it's nice to change or whatever, and taking in new inspiration sources. I mean, I think I've found new ways of listening to sound and sound files that you actually can make music from. And for example, in Crutches, we have a lot of samples that's taken from either from when I've been working at factory places, or just a random noisy things that you actually can include into the music without making it too complicated. But I've been extremely inspired by bands doing that these days, especially one new Swedish band that's doing that, and it's a band called Pale. I think that's amazing. There's a lot of noises, and being able to mix that into music. It's not a debate thing, but they are like really. I'm super inspired by it because it's like something new in my head, and it's very well done. So yeah, it's definitely made me seeing things differently these days.
Right. Yeah. Is that kind of where like the horns at the beginning of your guys' last release kind of came from?
Oh yeah, the horns thing, that actually a trumpet. So there's a friend, she did it. She's been guest singing on one of the recordings before as well, but and then we realized that she could play the trumpet, which we were looking for a while, and that was great.
Yeah.
That's the reveal that we created. I didn't really don't know the word for it before, so I didn't really know what it actually meant. So when I got to hear it, I got really inspired by, we have to do something like that, to like some kind of a reveal that's going to be waking up our recording or record. And that for the latest one of recordings is that it actually comes back 4 times on the record. So that intro also is the last same tunes that's in the last song, and in the piano part that Daniel is playing, and also one other song thing that's made out of hammering on some metal thing that's I built equally, that you can play as a horror movie sound device. So
okay.
Yeah, it comes back to many things, and I think that's really, really fun, actually.
Yeah. I thought that sounded the first time I listened to that recording, and I listened to that first intro there with the horns, I was like, holy shit, this sounds fucking creepy. But then it goes into the next song, and it's like that really, like those horns really kind of set the tone for the rest of the record, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
So cool. I think it's really cool. It looks like we just got a couple minutes left here. What does the future look like for Crutches?
We have a split. We have some ideas of recording some new material, and we'll see, really. I mean, I really don't want to talk too much about it because I'm not really sure if it's actually going to be totally set, right? But that's the plans, and we have a plan to do a split LP with Oipoloi, which is going to be kind of diverse. Funny thing is that we decided everything's supposed to be recorded in our rehearsal space, so they are going to come over, and we're going to record them over at our place. So that's going to be a fun thing, but we'll see when that's going to happen. It's been like kind of, a pandemic setting everything a bit aside and everything. We have a few shows coming on, and we have more to come next year. So we have things planned for sure. We don't really necessarily need to release something new since we just did this one, but I could just say that there's plans of recording again this year. So that's going to be fun for sure.
Okay, cool. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you today, Oskar. Thanks for sitting down with me today. And other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your week there.
Thank you very much. I will have a nice trip to Germany, Poland, and Czech. So that's going to be nice.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for speaking with me today, and you have a good one there. Okay.
You too. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.